guys, and welcome back to Belle's Books. Please like this video and subscribe for more content. I post every Wednesday, Friday and Sunday at the moment, so there's lots of motivation to subscribe. You can also follow my Instagram for more book related content and for getting to know me just a little bit better. So today I'm going to be reviewing The Library of Legends by Janie Chang. I like to start my book review videos by giving you a little synopsis so that you know exactly what's going on in the book, although of course not giving you any spoilers. So basically, this is set in China in 1937. When Japanese bombs begin falling on the city of Nanking, 19-year-old Hu Lian and her classmates at Minghua University are ordered to flee. Lian and a convoy of students, faculty and staff must walk 1,000 miles to the safety of China's western provinces, a journey marred by the constant threat of aerial attack. And it is not just the refugees who are at risk. Lian and her classmates have been entrusted with a priceless treasure, a 500-year-old collection of myths and folklore known as the Library of Legends. Lian becomes friends and forms a cautious romance with a man named Liu Xiaoming, but eventually Lian realizes that she must escape before she is put in danger. Accompanied by Xiao and his servant Sparrow, Lian travels all the way to Shanghai, hoping to reunite with her mother. So this book was quite intriguing to me. It wasn't what I expected at all. I expected something quite factual. I was expecting historical fiction, and maybe that was just on me because I hadn't looked up the book properly, but I found it a lot more like magical realism. And magical realism is the genre of literature that depicts the world as having an undercurrent of magic or fantasy, and this is very much what this book did. It focused on the reality but then brought in an undertone of spiritualism and magic that was just completely unexpected and very enjoyable. And I found this actually created quite a juxtaposition between like the modernity of the setting and kind of the magic of the other aspect, which I'm not really going to get into because I don't want to spoil it for you. Also, the whole time I was reading, I was thinking about like when it was set, and it was set in 1937 in China, which is like around the time of the rape of Nanjing. Obviously that's horrible, and I feel like we've all kind of heard of it, we all kind of know of it, but I know that for me personally, I kind of considered that as like the distant past, like a faraway event, and I didn't really associate modernity with it. So when there were like devices like the postal system, the phones, the telegrams, I was almost surprised. I was shocked. For some reason, it just, in my head, I had it that this was like hundreds of years ago. Of course, the world was actually kind of similar to ours today. There was kind of idea that distant history, or history that we consider distant, isn't actually distant at all. It's much closer than we realise. This idea of the postal system just kept cropping up because people sent each other letters a lot, and there's this reoccurring theme of I hope that letter doesn't arrive, and when letters did arrive, having kind of disastrous consequences. And I found that really intriguing. This idea of mythology and spiritualism was kind of rampant or reoccurring throughout the novel. And the book itself says that myths are the darkest and brightest incarnations of who we are. They slip into our dreams and underpin our reality. And that was quite a bold and interesting statement, I thought, so I just kind of like tell you the quote and let you know what I thought about it. I find it interesting that you could consider, or you could take myths to kind of represent humanity, or represent people, or represent a population. And it also kind of suggests that myths themselves are living, so we interact with them not as we would a textbook whose contents we've memorized, but as we would a person who we know well, or we've known our whole lives. And just kind of that idea of myths and legends like being so ingrained into our culture that we know them and that they affect our daily lives and our reality and also kind of shape who we are. I found that really interesting because obviously everyone's history in real life does shape them, whether that's like a larger cultural history or whether that's just like their own personal history of who they are and who their family are and how their family came to be or whatever. So the last thing I'm going to talk about in this review, because obviously I don't want to give you any spoilers, is the ending. But don't worry, not in a bad way. I'm just going to talk about letting go. I found the ending really interesting because there's this whole kind of idea running throughout the novel of people whose fates are intertwined, but eventually letting go or moving on or making a different decision is potentially the better one or potentially not, but there is the possibility that it is. And I just found that really interesting. Like maybe what we think's best in the moment might not be best in the long run, but we only have one life, so we have to kind of go off our own intuition rather than, you know, many lifetimes worth of experience, which is kind of a limiting factor for us, which is unfortunate. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this has encouraged you to read The Library of Legends, or if you've already read it, it's given you something to think about. So if you have already read it, I have a couple more book recommendations for you today. and 2 of them are by Janie Chang herself, because this is not her first novel. Three Souls and Dragon Springs. I would really recommend you read those books. I know that I would definitely want to. The other thing is, if you're interested in magical realism, I would check out Gabriela Garcia Marquez's fiction, because his work is often cited as quintessentially magical realism, and his writing's excellent, so I think you might enjoy that. Have a wonderful day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and bye bye!